Assalamu alaikum. In this lecture, we will discuss the Guyton chapter number 2, which is the cell and its functions. So, we will discuss that what is cell, what is the organization of the cell, and what is the physical structure of the cell. And we will also discuss in this chapter the function of the cell. Basically, this chapter is divided into two parts. In first part, we will discuss about the cell, mean organization of the cell and physical structure of the cell. And in second part, we will discuss the function of the cell. Okay, so what is cell? Cell is the basic structure and functional unit of the body. Okay, what is cell? Basic structure and functional unit of body. Okay, now we will discuss its two parts. Number one is organization of the cell, and number two, physical structure of the cell. So, what is organization of the cell? Actually, this is a cell and this is the nucleus. Okay, and the space between the nuclear membrane and the plasma membrane is known as cytoplasm. Okay, basically cell is divided into two major parts, cytoplasm and nucleus. This is the nucleus. And cytoplasm and nucleus collectively known as protoplasm. Okay, this is the basic concept. Okay, cytoplasm and nucleus collectively known as protoplasm. Okay, now we will discuss the organization of the cell. What are the components of the cell? So there are 5 major components of the cell, which are water, protein, electrolytes, lipids and carbohydrates. We will discuss one by one. Number one, water. Water is 70 to 80% total weight of the cell. Okay, number one is water. Water is 70 to 85% total weight of the cell, and water also contains different chemicals, ions, and also different chemicals. Water also provide an environment for the different chemical reactions. For example, cytosol. Cytosol of the cytoplasm is almost 90% is water, and in cytosol different types of reaction take place. For example, glycolysis. Okay, so water also provide an environment for the different chemical reactions. For example, glycolysis. Okay, and number two is electrolytes. So, cell contain potassium, magnesium and phosphate ions in larger quantity, and sodium, chloride and calcium ion in low quantity. Okay, potassium, magnesium managed to phosphate ion in large quantity, and in low quantity sodium chloride and calcium. We have discussed in my previous lecture that sodium chloride and calcium are in high concentration in outer environment of the cell, mean in extracellular fluid, mean in internal environment of the body, and internal environment of the body. And potassium, magnesium and phosphate ions are in high concentration inside the cell. So what is the functions of these ions? These ions play an important role in the impulses, in the electrochemical impulses. Okay, electrochemical impulses. For example, nerve impulses, muscle impulses. Okay, so these ions play an important role in electrochemical impulses. Okay, and number third is the protein. Number third is protein. Okay, प्रोटीन जो है ये दूसरे नंबर पे, मतलब कि वाटर के बाद ये दूसरे नंबर पे, सेकंड नंबर पे जो है हाई क्वांटिटी में पाई जाती है हमारे सेल के अंदर. ठीक है, ये ऑलमोस्ट 10 to 20% होती है. So protein is present almost 10 to 20% of the total weight of the cell, and protein further divided into two types: structural proteins and functional proteins. Structural protein and functional protein. Okay, structural protein provide the structure, maintain the structure of the cell, and structural protein is in the form of long filaments. Okay, long filaments. For example, cytoskeleton, and cytoskeleton maintain the structure of the cell. That's why we call it structural protein. Okay, cytoskeleton. Okay, and functional protein, for example, different types of enzymes, and this protein is tubular, globular structure. For example, enzymes. Okay, so this is the there are the two types of proteins: structural protein and functional protein. Structural protein provide the structure to the cell, and functional protein provide functional activity of the cell. For example, enzyme in functional proteins and structural proteins are present in the cytoskeleton. Okay, and number four is the lipids. Lipids play an important role in the synthesis and formation of the cellular cell membranes, and also membranes of the different organelles of the cell, because lipids are insoluble in water and they form membranes of the cell. Okay, membranes of cell. ठीक हो गया. नंबर 5, कार्बोहाइड्रेट्स. Carbohydrates provide energy to the cell. For example, glucose. Glucose is a carbohydrate. Okay, carbohydrates provide energy to the cell, and also carbohydrates are present in the cell membrane of the cell. Okay, and carbohydrates mostly present in the cell in glycogen, stored in the form of glycogen. Okay, carbohydrates mostly store in the cell in the form of glycogen. When there is need of energy, then glycogen depolymerizes into glucose, and glucose upon glycolysis will provide energy to the cell. Okay, upon glycolysis the end product of the glycolysis is the ATP. Okay, so in this way carbohydrate provide energy to the cell. Okay, now we will discuss the structural organization of the cell.